So many of us weren't too dearly departed about the some may say reckless behavior they engineered in. He continued, throwing money around like Paris Hilton and selling products they don't really know or understand. Has there sounds of na 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 a goodbye. Goodbye. Filing the room, he added that there was a bright side to the pacing of Wamu biggest rival. Some really scary and dangerous people won't be on the street anymore. This was fiction, of course, at at the time it took place. Countrywide was biggest mortgage lender in the country, but the point was this: within the industry, it wasn't any secret that Countrywide was out on the edge of the mortgage market, even if Mozilo himself didn't want to believe it. Even Wamu, which was doing plenty of its own risk lending, and now to eventually bring it down, could see the exit steps taking place at Countryway. It's hard to know when the turning point took place at Countryway. Risky loans were undoubtedly made on Kurland's watch. He too pushed Countrywide's market share ambitions. As shareholder, Lawseed would later charge that Mozilla, Sample, and Kurland were principally responsible for Countrywide's culture change and concerted foray into liberating and high-risk lending practice. According to this lawsuit, Kurland sold of stock from March 2004 to March 2008, but there were a few signals that lending wasn't completely out of control. Eliot Spitzer had launched at investigations into whether Countrywide's 2004 loans reflected racial bias. This was around the same time that Americans was beginning investigating. In the end, Countrywide agreed to commit $3 million to consumer education after Scrape permanently Americans paid to settle the charge against it. One former executive says that Spitzer staff was crawling over Countrywide thoroughly if they had discovered deeper problems. Spitzer would have come down harder on the company. Countrywide cooperated with Spencer, unlikely JP Morgan, HCBC, and Wells Fargo, which took refuge in the Premptions, and at Countrywide has with other mortgage originators. There had, there had been a brief moment of sanity right before the American settlement was announced. According to the Wall Street Journal, Countrywide was going to make it together for borrowers to qualify for a 1% teaser rate on its options arms. Internally, Kurland was pushing for that. According to a former executive, the company also instituted a no exceptions policy in early 2006, meaning that there would be no more exceptions to underwriting policies. Besides, the government was going to institute that within all non-traditional lands, and Countrywide wanted to be on the right side of that. But has it become clear that any news guidance would have noted, and perhaps has Kurland's lost power? The moment passed. Once Kurland was officially out the door, Samples began taking control of Countrywide. One of the first things he did was sideline some of the company's governance structures, such as its executives risk committee, according to a former executives under Curling, the protocol had always been to meet wrongly a half dozen times a year. Under Sample, it met once every meeting after that was cancelled. They devalued operational excellence and overvalued their own intellect, says another firm's executives. What's more, no sooner had Curland left that Samples and Mozilla decided to which regulators sending the OCC and the Fed for the OTAs. This move is one of the place where they made a terrible mistake, say former executives, having the Fed and the OCC regulated the company gave it a bit of a halo effect to disappear when it moved to the and really insulting the Fed by quoting the regulatory court was hardly a smart move. By the end of 2006, countrywide underwriting guidelines were wider and more aggressive than they had ever been. The SEC later changed in a memo Mozilla sent to the board and all the top executives on December 7, 2006, he wrote that Supreme has involvement from a sector language comprised of borrowers with impaired credit to a sector offering very high leverage and reduced documentations. And he noted the following shocking facts. In 2001, countrywide's maximum loan size of Supreme with a maximum loan to be value ratio of 90%, mainly a 10% down payment. You could do a state documentations loan only if you were self-employed. Countrywide did not have either interest only loans or loans in its product line. By 2006, however, subprime borrowers could get loans up to $1 million. The maximum loan to value ratio was by 10%. The only qualification for doing a state income loans was that you were a wage earner.